Students, so today we're going to start talking about FCAW, Flex Core Arc Welding. Uh, other couple other names it's known by is Dual Shield, um, and a few other names, Shielded Arc Welding, a couple other names that it's known by. And so we're going to talk about how to change out your wire. Some of you may have GMAW wire already set up, so you need to know how to change out your GMAW wire for the 71A that we're going to be using, which is this wire right here. You can tell the difference in the wires because the GMAW wire is a solid, usually a typically silver or gold colored wire because it doesn't have a flux inside the wire itself. The main difference is that your flux core wire or your dual shield wire typically have a flux core inside the wire so that as it burns off, it produces a flux much like an SMAW electrode. And so it will typically have a gray look to it, something like this. And so that's one of the ways that you can tell if you're using what we call a dual shield or a flux uh, uh, flux wire. Okay, so probably the first thing that you want to do is to get your parts that you're going to need. Uh, your flux core wire is typically a larger wire because not only do you have the wire that you're working with, but you have the flux that is in there. So instead of using a 0.35 uh, contact tip, you're going to use a 0.45 contact tip. So find a 0.45 contact tip and go ahead and get that with you. You may want to find one of the ladders that we have here in the shop that are hanging out in my oxy fuel station. So you may want to get one of those. And obviously we have our MIG wires that are with us. So you may want to get a set of those as well as the flux core wire itself. Okay? Now, depending on the process that you're doing, again, we're going to do our machine inspection just like we've talked about from day one. And this machine is set up for SMAW, so I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to get my ground clamp out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put that where I need it, and move my ground clamp, my ground cable completely out of the way so that it is no longer in the way of where I need it to be. All right. Now, because I'm no longer doing the SMAW process, I'm going to go ahead and unhook the SMAW electrode holder. I'm going to roll it up. And for right now, I'm just going to hang it up back here on this back hook. Coming from the top of my wire feed, there is a cable. Looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the electrode positive side. And then I'm going to set my machine for intershield. Okay. The millers, I believe we just set them for wire. Okay. We're going to set our voltage for about 22.5, and we're going to leave our wire speed at about 250. Once we've done that, we're going to take our gun. We're going to make sure that it works. We're going to take our cutters. We're going to cut that tip off. Then we're going to take our diffuser nozzle, our gas nozzle. And what I like to do anytime I take the gas nozzle off is to go ahead and take my pliers, my MIG pliers, and clean out any slag or anything that I have inside there just a habit that I have. Go ahead and clean that out. Make sure that it's nice and clean for my next start. Set that over here on my table. Again, make sure that there's not a gummed up ball or that I have a nice clean break, so when I slide my contact tip off, it slides off nice and easy. Okay. I'm not going to put my new contact tip on yet. I'm just going to leave it off for right now. I'm going to open my machine up. Now you can use the ladder to do this. I'm a little taller than most of you, so but you can more than welcome to pull the ladder over here. I'm going to take the tension off of my wire, and I'm just going to start spooling my wire backwards and let it get onto the spool. Again, keeping my hand on the wire, between the wire and the machine, and then once it comes through, I'm going to find the nearest hole here on the spool that I can fit it into. Slide it into there. Yeah, maybe twice till I find it's whatever. And then just notch it so that it doesn't come unspooled. Take my keeper off. Slide this spool off. Again, remembering that my wire is going to feed from the bottom, so I'm going to find where my wire is at, look at it and go, okay, it's going to come from the bottom there. And also remembering I've got a post up here that's going to fit into one of these holes here. And I've got a hole right there on top. So I'm going to line up those holes the best I can. Again, you can use the ladder if you need to. And I may have to use the ladder. Oh, there it goes. It went on there. And then slide my keeper back on. Oh. No, it didn't slide on there. I didn't think it did. There it goes. Okay. Then I'm going to take right here where I have it bent in, pull it out, hold on to it. Grab my cutters, and I'm going to cut it so that I have a nice fresh start. Now there's two ways that you can do this. All right. You can turn the rollers over before you run the wire through, or you can set the wire inside your gun and then flip the rollers over. Either way, but the rollers have to be switched over. But just to show you that you can still flip the rollers over once the wire is inside. Okay, so I have the wire inside the gun. All right, And then I'm going to take my rollers, I'm going to slide them off, and I have .035 pointed at me. I'm going to flip it over till it says .045 pointed at me. And I'm going to slide them back on. And the same thing down here. Slide it off, .045. Okay, you probably can't see that from there, but that's all right. .045 is pointed towards me. And slide it back on. So both rollers have .045 pointed at me. And then I'm going to put my guard back on. Again, the Miller doesn't have this little catch guard right here. I'm going to put my tension back on. Now again, with the Lincolns, there's this little tension set right here. We can look right here and see that our tension needs to be somewhere between 3 and 4. So I'm going to back the tension off of it. The Millers, you just kind of have to adjust them to where you kind of think it's right. Take the tension off of it a little bit. And then I'm going to hit my gun. And it's pulling it, and I don't want to sit here all day. So I'm going to open it up all the way. And again, I'm just watching everything, making sure that everything's going the way that it should. It's spooling off of the spool the way that it should. The rollers are rolling, and voila, there it should be. I feel it coming through the gun. And there it is. Okay. Once that I've seen that it's through the gun, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'm going to go ahead and move my ladder back out of the way. Again, I'm going to double check and make sure that I have the .45 contact tip. I'm going to slide the 4.5, right? And the 3.5 typically will not fit on there, all right? I don't think you can fit a 3.5 on there. That's a 3.5. It will not fit on there. Right? Now, you can put a 4.5 on a 3.5 wire, but you can't put a 3.5 on a 4.5 wire. All right? So making sure I've got a 4.5 on there, putting my gas nozzle back on there, cinching it down handy. Snipping it off so that I've got the correct amount of stick out. And now we're ready to weld. Okay? And that is how we set up for FlexCore Inner Shield or FCAW. I'll see you in the booth. I'm out.